You are listening to Level Up Your Gaming Podcast, episode 58, Random Events. Today we talk about using random events in your games. We discuss examples provided by our listener on why we think these can add some interesting flavor to your games. We also discuss other genres and how to do different types of events in those games. You can also find some of the resources for online tools we suggested in the last podcast in the description of today's episode. If you'd like to participate in the discussion or leave us feedback, you can contact us at levelupyourgamingpodcast@gmail.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/levelupyourgaming. If you like the content and want to hear more of the show, subscribing will ensure you don't miss an episode. New episodes come out almost every Wednesday. Also, please review, tell a friend about the podcast, or share with your gaming group. Now sit back and enjoy the episode. Welcome into the Level Up Your Gaming Podcast. My name is Aaron, and joining me in person, he's a master of causing chaos at every turn, Jared.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, buddy? What have you been up to?
Not a whole lot. It's actually been kind of a few quiet weeks, which is really nice. I'm home.
I know you're brighter. You're shining brighter when I see you. You're happier.
I'm happier. I'm home. I'm not in some other state. No, I mean, like, I've got some travel coming up, but, I kind of got some really great notice, like, hey, we want to plan it for this month, and it's going to be about a week. So it's not like I'm going to be living there for a month. Places that I'm also familiar with, and, so I kind of already know where to go and how to get around. So, yeah, no, that's pretty much it. How about you?
Not too much. Like, so we're getting close. By the time listeners hear this, it will have been my brother's wedding. We're trying to get some podcasts recorded because I will be gone for like a month.
Yeah.
And so if you're emailing us and you're not hearing your subject, it's coming up. It will be happening here, but we're a little bit we're trying to build up a little bit of a backlog here because it just won't have all the tools for recording these while I'm away. So I'll bring you behind the curtain to the production side of things. I'm doing good. Things are going well. Looking forward to that trip. Looking forward to everything else, and looking forward to we'll see how things are when I get back here in Illinois, and I may be looking forward to it. I'll be looking forward to being home.
Yeah,
I mean that'll be nice. We'll be gone for quite a while. So
yeah. All right, so what's our topic for today?
All right, well, so we're going to cover the other suggestion where we kind of made a topic out of the email from Gary. Last time Gary sent us 2 emails about our 52nd episode, and we already did and paid off one of his topics that he asked about, which is improving your locations. And this time we're going to be talking about random events that kind of happen. Because he had a very interesting point that he brought up in the email, which is, have you ever worked with something like this? So what he ends up doing is he's got an event table of like 70% negative and 30% positive events. And what he ends up doing is he'll put those onto like playing cards. Mm-hmm. And while you're in like the forest of, I think he called it Oogity Boogity.
Yes, he did. He did call it the forest of Oogity
Boogity. Or the haunted forest of Oogity Boogity. He then at times will pull a card and you'll get something like you walk into a glade of pure white flowers, regain a hit point. Okay, he's playing AD&D, so you might need to scale these differently based on the games that you're playing. Or the negative events could be like you step in a deep pile of sticky mud and you have to remove your boot from the goop. Now your boot's crusted with the mud. It's uncomfortable. You have a disadvantage on stealth rolls or something like that. And so he's just as asking if we ever use something like that in our games, and we looked at it and we said we haven't, but no. We'd love to talk about it because
we've never used like an organized table of like random encounter events. I've never built one. The closest thing I've ever done is like I created a list way back in the day of subplots in a city. It was a vampire game. It was so short lived. I don't even think that I ended up using the table of like random times that I would pop in a subplot, so like, okay, at this, here's my random list. And if it seems a little dull, I'm going to pop in this subplot. but we've never done a random table. And really, Gary's system was really kind of cool. I mean, it did enlighten me a little with psychology. If Gary, if you're listening, a little bit of a half glass empty, huh? 30% versus 70, positive versus negative.
Well, you can't just have all positive events.
I'm just saying, little half glass empty. Yep. Bad outweighing the good, Gary. Just a little bit more. No, I'm kidding. Okay, but I really found his system really cool. Obviously we thought it was such a really cool tool that we wanted to share it on the podcast. And it's simple. Playing cards. People could do a D10 roll, but the playing cards is nice because then you eliminate the number, so you can't hit the same number twice. So one of the things about adding randomness to a game. Now, some people might say, well, why add random? Random events bring a humanistic or realistic approach to the game as a whole. So a lot of our days, think about it when you get home to your husband, wife, significant other, your cat, and you're telling them about your day. Yeah, what? I talk to my cat. I'm cool with that.
I know. I see you talk to your cat all the time.
Like she's a human. It's mostly Lily, get your face out of there, but whatever. But if you think about what we talk about, we typically talk about not like our typical day. We talk about the weird events that happen throughout our day. You know what I mean? The random crap that we see, like, oh man, I was driving down 294 and which is a major highway here in Chicagoland. And I saw a police chase. That's what you tell your spouse about. You don't tell them like, well, I got to work. I answered a lot of emails. Got those done pretty quick. We don't talk about that. We talk about the weird stuff.
Yes.
And random encounters are both mundane but weird. And really, like the boot stuck in the mud thing was really cool. Why? Historically, very accurate. Roads weren't well maintained. They didn't have a department of highways or roads, streets and sanitation or whatever, so after a good rainstorm, it's easy to get your boots stuck in a good pot of mud. And then, either the player has the choice to stop, clean off the mud, or they have the choice to take the penalty. So the random encounters really adds a flair of realism in situational, non-life threatening.
Yeah, I think that's what
conflict.
I liked about the encounter example he gave. Now, again, I don't know what other cards you have there, Gary, but it's better than being like you fall into a pitfall trap. Like that seems so weird.
Way better.
It seems so weird to happen like in a forest. Like who's putting all these pitfall traps in all these forests?
Local hunter.
Impossible.
Lazy hunter.
Lazy hunter. I just dig a bunch of pitfall traps all over the place. And
I gotta check them in the morning.
Gotta check them in the morning. Found someone. There you go.
Shit. Kill the guy. All right. Well, let's get him out and reset the trap. You've killed 14 people and gotten 2 deer.
But I mean, it's fun because now you're playing with a disadvantage from a situation that happened. The negative effect isn't so punitive.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it could be rectified by taking a turn, probably, or a couple turns to clean off the boot.
Yep.
Okay. But it is enough that it's like this is now an inconvenience for me to have happen here. It reminded me a lot of what Nick said he would do if he ever was going to be.
Yeah, the Jenga. Wasn't it Jenga?
Jenga?
Yeah, he was going to have situations on Jenga blocks. He was going to pull Jenga blocks, and when the whole thing came towering down, something awful was going to happen.
Oh, I didn't remember that part.
Oh, my God, yes. He had a whole plot, he was going to put situations on Jenga blocks, and you had to pull them. And then, essentially...
Tangentially, there is an entire role-playing system built around Jenga blocks.
Get the...
No, I'm serious. And your difficulties for doing stuff, the GM sets them as, you need to pull this many blocks out of there. And then when it goes up and it comes crashing down, that's the end of the story. The story collapses at that point. Like it ends like there. It's kind of weird.
It's insane. You finally come upon the big monster. We've been playing this game for a month. Click, poof, game over.
I can't remember if it results in like that's the death of that character effectively or something like that. There's a bunch of weird. I need to look more into it, but there is a system based upon taking Jenga blocks out of there, and then so the GM's just like, yeah, that's going to be 2 Jenga blocks, and so you pull 2 Jenga blocks out. If you do it, you succeed, and if you don't,
Jesus. I mean, God bless game developers because they're always coming up with new and cool ways to try to bring fate.
That makes for a very fast.
Oh
game
my God!
Because you can have people fall apart fast in that game.
Yeah, real fast, just like a chew. Like, well, you're dead. I didn't even open my bag of Cheetos.
That's such an aside to that. But it reminded me of what Nick said, because Nick said, like, you know, well, I'm going to have it where if you eat something, I'm going to roll perhaps that it's bad. And then later on, like, you're going to have stomach problems later on, which is going to cause you distress in serious situations. And I'm like, interesting. I've never thought about balancing that within the game, but it makes sense that, like, you know, it gives kind of a sense of realism to the everyday life, because your characters aren't always in tip-top 100% shape.
No, sometimes they eat something bad, and Nick did have a fascination with poop, though.
Yeah, he did.
He loved his poop. But notice the silence. I hope our listeners are like, wow, he really did. No, but random encounters, using random encounter tables are always great. D&D, I know, has like a host of random encounter tables. It can, you can generate using random encounters, like you fight orcs, blue orcs with steel weapons, blue orcs with steel weapons and leather. They have no mages. Like, holy crap. Like, I mean, okay, you know. But what I liked about these particular challenges was that they were so mundane. You know, for D&D, the wagon falls off the wheel, or the wagon falls off the wheel.
The wheel falls off the wagon.
The wheel falls off the wagon. You know, now, okay, cool. If we go back to our, you know, our characters, it's missing some sort of peg, you know, our more craft-oriented characters, now this is his spotlight moment. And that brings up a whole other idea of random cards that are designed with spotlight moments.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of different ways you can use this. So, like, I like the idea there, but every time that I've thought about doing something random in the Forest of Oogity Boogity, I always think about, you know, I always think about, like, I'm going to put these situations that happen in the forest. But this puts something to happen during downtime and dead time, which I haven't thought about doing, which can, you know, if you're trying to make the forest longer, if you're trying to make the forest even scarier, it's tough when you're just having players move slowly through a map.
Yeah.
Because if things don't happen, it's boring. It's boring. It's incredibly boring. The tension only lasts for so long.
It does. You really do have a timer when it comes to scariness. I mean, you can hold it as long as you can, but eventually something has to attack. It's one of my main rules when it comes to ghosts. When I first did, like, my first ghost game ever, all the ghosts could scare and they could leap out and they'd be like, "Rawr!" But I never had them attack players because they were, you know, transparent, or they can move through
incorporeal.
Walls. Incorporeal, thank you. They were incorporeal, so they couldn't do any damage. And I was like, after I took that back as a lesson, like, okay, the ghosts, I always need to make sure they can actually hurt you, because otherwise they cease to be scary. You know, and I know that's, most people are like, well, no, duh, Jared, but, you know, hey, I was 12.
He was experimenting. Okay, we were trying different stories. It didn't work out.
Give me a little slack. So, really with random encounters, Modern Age is fantastic for random encounters, especially with our characters are driving to the, this location to investigate, yada, yada. Bam! Sideswipe by a taxi. Taxi driver gets out. He's furious, even though he ran the red light. He's going to start yelling at you. It's a conflict moment. It's a minor conflict. Nobody's pulling guns over this, but it's, maybe it's a time for your smooth talker to be like, listen, Cabby, you ran the red. We were driving along. You ran a red light. We're okay. You're okay. Do you just want to, or maybe your, character who likes to play with numbers is like, well, the insurance cost of this will be yada yada. To repair the car, it will be yada yada. But Modern has a lot of potential for randomness. Superhero oriented sessions, somebody recognizes you on the street, and it's just like, and instead of being like, it's Superman, they're just like, they walk up to you and just like, thank you, Superman, and like keep on walking. Cool event. I got recognized, but they're not outing me. How cool is that? That'd be a cool little thing. It brings some spice to the players. Oh, maybe some people are seeing past my disguise of a pair of glasses. Because God knows, once take those off, I have no clue who he is. I'm still trying to get together whether or not Kent Clark is Superman.
Jared wears glasses. I mistake him all the time. Every time when he's in his house, he pulls them off. I'm like, Jared, where the hell did you go?
Who are you?
Who are you?
Sitting in Jared's chair.
Jared's evil twin?
So one of the things, that we do in Modern, like I've actually contemplated that, random gang encounters. The characters are leaving a bar that they just investigated, and 3 gang members come up and they want to take their wallet. That's a little bit more confrontational. They walk up and they find a wallet. I don't know, something. There's a lot of things that you need to sit down really to devise this system. And I mean, like, I can't imagine that it takes that long or is that hard. Now, I find the easiest one to do is probably sci-fi. Sci-fi, the engine blows. The magnetic decoupler is getting a little shaky and makes loud noises, and you're half deaf when you land. Because you just can't hop out of the spaceship in the middle of flight and fix that.
Well, that is the problem with doing the Modern Knights thing, is that it's based on a sense of reality, and science fiction is obviously fiction.
You know what? I don't need your sass today.
I'm going to give it to you. Also, one of the reasons why D&D works, because it's got the best of both worlds. It's based in a sense of reality of the past, and it's also got fiction.
You know what? You were sassy today.
I am sassy.
Oh, did you eat your Wheaties this morning?
I ate my Wheaties this morning. Actually, I didn't eat my Wheaties. I don't do that on my keto, but...
I know. Did you have your eggs this morning with bacon?
With sausage.
Outstanding. I had pancakes. I don't know. Our listeners don't have to know that. So, no, random encounters, I fully endorse them. Random encounter tables, I fully endorse them.
It's a good way of adding stuff. Like, so it's pre-work that you can do before that's applicable anywhere that effectively you put it.
Yeah.
So it means that if you then we can tie this into the other episode, which is the inn, the tavern, and how to improve the location. Well, you have these random encounters. If you flesh them out enough, you can have random encounters that can happen outside, random encounters that can happen inside. Though that can give you the ability to add something to a scene if you ever choose to need to do it or want to do it.
And it does. And one of the great things about random encounters is that characters and players might choose to disengage from them if they're a little bit more serious of the situation. They might be like, I don't feel like getting involved.
You could put your players in some serious moral conundrums that go along with it effectively. So you can have the players. You can create so many different types of these along the way. So you could have like moral conundrum conflict encounters. Okay, like now you've got a bar fight breaks out. It's not directed against you. It's
For
just
once,
happening.
it's not caused by your players.
It's not caused by your players. It's just happening. Like, and people are like, "Oh my god!" The owners are like, "What do we do? Call the guard or something." And patrons are just like, "We don't want anything to do with this. We're leaving." And like, see what your players might do. Your players just might be like, "Listen, we're not gonna be part of this."
You know what?
That makes
we
four.
started the last 4 bar fights. The 5th, we're not getting involved.
Or have somebody run up and like, "Oh my god, like I need a ride. I need to get out of here." Like wait, what? Like
He's got a giant bag with a money sign on it. Don't ask any questions. I just need to get out of here.
I need a horse. Can you lend me your horse?
I'll buy your horse. Where did you get that giant bag with the money sign on it? Don't ask. Can I buy your horse?
This is a no questions asked situation. I need the horse.
I think my brother and I always wanted to try to get like a bunch of money, put it in a bag with a dollar sign on it, go to a dealership and just be like, "Quick, I need to buy a car." See what they would do. Only problem is we don't have stacks of cash. So well, I guess you could put like.
But you could put your players in moral situations, or you could have a dispute break out in a home, like so they hear an argument, and then the person comes running out.
Yeah.
And they bump into them, and they get irate with the players. See how your players might react. Are your players going to play the the morally good side of things and try to find out what's going on between them? Or your players just be like, "Listen, I don't want anything to do with this."
Listen, if this doesn't involve dragon slaying, I don't really do that.
I don't care.
Do you see this? This is a dragon tooth necklace. I don't get involved with the pithy domestic disputes or domestic violence situations. Or you might have characters who've been like, "You touched that woman?" And it's like, "Yeah, I did. I kill dragons. Now I'm going to kill you." Or whatever situation that you may have.
Again, you can always use anything that is unplanned to produce a planned outcome at some point.
Absolutely.
Or to introduce new story stuff and just kind of make things more unique. My thought would be is if you want to have like bigger stories hidden behind some of these encounters, write some encounters with some general outlines of stuff that you want to have happen afterwards, and maybe include those in these random scenarios. Because again, one of the things that I like to do, or that I think that we like to do, is we like to produce situations for the players to go into. We like to create. You always like to create conflicts. So, like in my last game, I had a bar fight that was going to happen. I was going to get you into that bar fight. Okay, I knew
it was funny because like I had a fight that I was intending on getting you guys into, and you guys were both like, "Nope, nobody, nope." It's just like,
we sidestepped. It wasn't. It's not. Again, when you think encounter doesn't have to be physical combat.
No, yeah, you intimidated the heck out of a bunch of frat boys.
It's designed to be something that is tense, and that your players are doing their best to circumvent or resolve that conflict, some way or another. So
I even had music.
What?
I even had music.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure it was Ram Jam, Black Betty, something like that.
Yeah, it was Boys Are Back in Town. It was.
I mean, it would have been fun, and it would have been we would have been throwing. Somebody would have picked up a chair and
Dale Earnhardt, the Intimidator.
Well, listen, I used my social skills, which is where I'm a Viking. I mean,
it was actually great.
I granted you did give me the win there, and I was like, it's like I'm still expecting one of them to throw a punch at Brian.
You know what? Like,
or I was expecting Brian to potentially throw a punch at one of them.
I was expecting Brian maybe to throw a punch, but like you had such a resounding victory. Like, no, man. Like, everyone was intimidated of this guy. Like, Jesus, this guy's gonna beat us all up. There's 12 of us and one of him. We're gonna lose. You know, like, But I mean, yes, we do tend to focus on conflict points, pre-planned conflict points. I think it is much easier to do with the D&D universe and with the sci-fi universe than the modern one. Although, challenge me, take it away, somebody, be like, no, I've built a modern one.
It's tough when you're investigating or you're moving through a modern house. The encounters, you can't use the pure white glade of flowers, and you can't use the stuck in the mud because you're in a modern house. So you have to come up with different things that could happen within a modern house that would encumber you. And the first one that I can think of that comes to mind would be the floor gets creaky, or maybe you're stepping on a creaky part of the floor. But now you always have to remember that part of the floor is creaky.
Yeah, or I don't know. You guys are staying in a hotel, the heat won't turn off. But the problem is in our modern world of convenience, it's like, well, screw that. I'm going to a different hotel.
Yes, we're a little spoiled for choice in that regard. So it's a little bit more challenging there in the modern world. But there's other times when you are out in wilderness, even in the modern world in other games, when we could apply things like the random events table.
Yes.
That he has here, or a series of random events to kind of pull up. We'd have to be more creative. We'd have to change what our positives are going to be. I'm not going to say more creative because it would just be a different be a different type of positive that you can get out of it. But it could then add to the delay that I'm having before I just put you into the next scene.
Yes.
It gives you a little bit of a respite as the GM to your thinking wheels get to turn off just a little bit and just let the pre-planning wheels come up and go and you're attacked by a flock of birds.
Pigeons of Chicago. They would be the ones to attack.
They'll mug you.
They will. They'll take your wallet.
Saw it happen.
Happened to me. Freaking pigeon came right up. Give me your wallet, fool. Shit. Fuck you, pigeon. They do, man. They're just hey, you got bread or money? Holy shit.
But what I would do I would suggest is to take your random encounter cards here and then take them one step further. And then, after you've got your random encounter cards, always add to the encounters.
Yes.
And remove ones that might only apply, you can't always get your foot stuck in the mud when you enter the forest.
You got to make sure that it's tossed out the deck, and it's tossed out the deck for a long time.
Yeah, it's got to be clear that it's not happening all the time. And that you're not re-encountering the same thing all the time. And then I would put in more meaningful ones as time goes on. So I would start simple, okay, and then I would put more meaningful ones in, which might be able to make, the forest a story potentially come out of the forest. Oogity boogity.
I got a good idea for a modern one. You hear church bells and feel enlightened. Regain willpower.
Thank you.
Got to come up with something because, honestly, I think modern is quite possibly the most challenging environment.
Again, it's rooted in fact, which is why it's.
We have such a society of laws and options, and that's the great thing about sci-fi. Yeah, your ship may have all the amenities and the nice things, but when you land on the planet of Tuan Kong, there might be only one freaking hotel. Well, I'll go stay in the ship. You're going to take a shuttle back to the ship every night? No, that costs gas. That's when your, equipment, your quartermaster, is just sir, that would cost us $958 for every trip on that shuttle, and this hotel only costs $59 a night. Sit your butt down. Do it right now. Modern is just, it's a challenge. And, that's why I really appreciated this email, because it got my brain turning, how would I do this in a modern setting? And I have to admit, I've already started.
Oh, okay. So thank you, Gary, for bringing the pain train to us.
Yeah, Gary, you have now done this to Aaron and Brian. You've definitely exerted your influence over them. Well done. No, but randomness is nice. If you can connect it to a bigger story, That's always great too. Sometimes it's nice just to have the random pop off. You know, just reminding the players that they're in a world with other people where they're not sometimes the center of attention, even though they should always be the center of attention because they're the players. But you know what? Like, I mean, seeing two drunks duke it out in the middle of the street for the bar that you're about to go into. Okay, we saw it. We can choose to break it up. We can choose not to break it up. We choose to walk right past on those guys and then whoop it on each other. You know? Seems like a fair fight. Let them go.
Again, that's always the thing that
maybe your players will gamble on it. Guy in the red shirt.
That's always the thing that you get to do there. So I mean, again, you can have that kind of morality play in the randomness of the encounters too. And I'd be interested. We can give you our deeper feedback of how it all works out when Jared decides to unleash it upon us.
Yes,
as unsuspecting players.
Yes.
Do you have anything else you wanted to cover with this one?
No,
Jared?
really. I think we really covered what I kind of wanted to go over.
Sounds good. Well, Gary, thank you again for sending us that email. We do appreciate it. It's very nice. We're again, something just we wanted to talk about. We thought it deserved a longer look when we got into things here. But if you like the podcast, you like the topics, you like hearing us ramble about different things, go off on tangents, subscribe to the podcast, give it to a friend, give it to, somebody else, another player at your table. Again, this is a good resource for them to kind of be able to do their thing and learn the craft and try to get, involved in the GMing side of things. And not every, we could talk about this in a future topic, but every player is capable of GMing.
Yes.
Okay. It's not that there's only a certain subset of people that are good at doing the GMing thing.
GMing is something. It's just practice.
Just practice.
No one's great when they first kick a soccer ball. It takes practice.
So we'll keep trying to put those tools out there for different people. If you have an episode suggestion or want to leave us a comment on the episode or talk about different things, contact us at levelupyourgamingpodcast@gmail.com, or we're on Facebook, facebook.com/levelupyourgaming. And we do have more stuff that will be added to this podcast. If it hasn't already been added to the podcast, we're going to get an intro song, an outro song, all that other good stuff.
Yep.
So the podcast is going to keep leveling up. We will make sure that it's leveled up good. We're almost done getting all the stuff on YouTube. I've got like 20 more episodes to go. So,
Not
Jared,
bad.
what happens if you find us on YouTube?
Smash that like button. Just smash it.
And
take a bat and smash it.
And so I mean, if you like that medium better, or you have a friend who likes that medium better, please go ahead and check us out there. But anyways, that's going to wrap it up for us this week. For Jared, I'm Aaron. Have a great week, guys.
Have a great week, everyone.